Hey everybody, right, we're doing another live stream on the Baroni's channel. Feel free to come in and join us if anybody wants to join us. We'll be here till we all get bored. But yeah, so tonight is just going to be a discussion about MLP in general, Gen 4, Gen 5, the film, Equestria Girls, or anything else that people want to talk about, hell, we'll talk about. I mean, this is just basically going to be a talk about whatever stream, but also talking about MLP at the same time. Because, you know, there's just not a lot to do at the moment, so I'd rather have a nice conversation with about anything, really. So, but there are some interesting things, as we all know, that have come out in the last few weeks. Now, there is definitely one thing I'm going to talk about tonight, and that is the really interesting Sunset Shimmer leak that popped up within the last few days. Now, as we all know, it has been revealed that the original Season 2 finale for Equestria Girls was going to be, the big question was going to be answered: where is the human Sunset Shimmer counterpart? Where is she? Where has she gone? What has happened to her? So on, so forth. So what always interests me about Sunset Shimmer's character is sort of two things, really. The first thing that I feel like that I want to basically talk about is how exactly did Sunset Shimmer's human counterpart, how was she affected by Pony Sunset's appearance in the Equestria High School world? Well, here's the one thing I'm sort of curious about. Let me get my words out here. So what we've been led to believe with this leak is that the real Sunset Shimmer from that world has been misplaced. Okay? So if she's been misplaced, then is she trapped in between dimensions? Has she been put somewhere else? You know? So it really does interest me just what the possibility could have been if we had found out what had happened to human Sunset Shimmer. Now, I think part of the reason why they never decided to go down that route was because if they had done a special 1 hour length sort of finale explaining where the human Sunset Shimmer was, then we basically would have seen the end of the Equestria Girls franchise, largely because with human Sunset coming into it, Pony Sunset would have gone back into Equestria, which I suppose would have been an end to her story, but also would have sort of made her character no longer unique, because her character's unique in the sense that, at least from my opinion and my perspective, is that Sunset really does sort of belong in the human counterpart world. She's sort of made a life for herself there. And that sort of means, it just means that it would have ended her story. Yeah, let's get a hashtag going, Nolsey. Yeah, I agree on that, mate. We should try that. I mean, we need to try and get the troops rallied and try and get people to support that cause, because it would be really good to actually have that ending, because the Equestria Girls sort of franchise has sort of become rather stagnant. It's just become very, very sort of empty, and it's a shame, really, because I mean the last thing we had from Equestria Girls, if we actually look that up right now, right. So the last the actual last thing we had from Equestria Girls. Let's have a look here. Right. The last one was the Better Together short, which ran from 2017 to 2020. Obviously, they had all the preludes to Rainbow Rocks and Friendship Games. And then we had sort of a lot of the in-between stuff like Roller Coaster of Friendship, Forgotten Friendship, Tales of Canterlot High. So there is plenty of there's plenty of Equestria Girls content, but the last bit of content they did was last year. That was Better Together shorts, which was basically, I believe that was the YouTube series. So that only ran for like 3 years, and then after that, there hasn't been anything new. So it's sort of a shame, really, that we've never actually seen anything past that. We may not. I mean, it could be they may just choose to end the Equestria Girls on the like this, which is a shame because it's not really ending it. I've always wanted to see one more Equestria Girls film, and in my opinion, the last Equestria Girl film would have to do 2 things. One, it would have to explain where Sunset Shimmer's human counterpart is. 2, it would also have to show us all the main 7 graduating from high school and then moving on. That's the 2 things I'd love to see. I think the last special was when Rainbow, Sunset, and Twilight go back to Equestria. Yeah, it was. I believe, if I'm right, that linked into the 2017 film, didn't it? Because it was a result of the Storm King's magic that sort of screwed things up and made the portals open in random places. I heard there was going to be a season 3 of the web series. I'm not sure if season 3 is aired, or if it is, then is there a season 4 coming? As far as I'm aware, mate, the last thing that aired for the Equestria Girls was the Equestria Girls web series. That finished airing 2020, so last year. And that was literally just 2 seasons. 35 episodes roughly a piece. There's no information on... Let's have a look. Is there any... No, there's nothing on a season 3 for potential continuation of the Equestria Girls series on YouTube. It's quite possible that they may have just ended the series. I hope they haven't just ended it like that, because it would be nice to actually have it up there. It would be nice to see it end properly, because obviously G4 had its ending, and Equestria Girls just hasn't. And I felt like they were definitely heading in that direction. They were wanting to have its end, because I think they were sort of aiming at that when they had the Forgotten Friendship special, because it did sort of tie up Sunset leaving Equestria, because obviously she goes back to Equestria, and she, Celestia forgives her, which wasn't really a surprise, because the whole thing with Celestia's character is that she's very much sort of the mother figure, so I don't think she's capable of not forgiving anybody. If she were to not forgive somebody, then that would just basically destroy her character. I mean, Celestia is the she's the matriarch, if you will. She's the not just the high leader. Whereas Luna, even though it's a co-rulership, Luna is very much almost like the back burner, the back pedal, if you will. I know we're sort of going around different topics, but I'm just going to talk about anything. So sort of with Luna's character, if you look at the episode where Starlight Glimmer has to go to Canterlot and try and sort out the Royal Sisters sort of bickering with each other all the time, you get the strong impression that Celestia is really the one in charge. She's the one doing all the diplomatic stuff. She's the one having all the meetings, and she's doing a lot. Whereas Luna is the guardian of the night, but her overall responsibilities seem to be purely towards that. She doesn't specifically sort of do anything diplomatic. Her primary objective is to protect the night, to guide Pony's dreams, fight away nightmares. So in some sense, Luna really is the secondary leader. And if there's one thing I wish MLP had done a little bit more with Luna's character, it would have been nice to have seen her be a bit more involved. I know there's the odd episode where it focuses around her more, but you never really got to see her do anything sort of outside the dream world. And it would have been nice to see her, maybe be a bit more co-ruler, if you will. In fact, just in general, I would have liked to see an episode where we got to see Luna and Celestia together really doing something. Not. I know we had the episode in the final season where we saw them sort of go on a holiday, but it would have been nice to have seen them, I don't know, have to tackle something in Equestria, like having to actually rely on each other and fight some threat, be the leaders they're meant to be. It would be nice to have seen that. Nosy, what we got here? I think if they wanted to end it properly, Equestria Girls, that is, they should see about a final feature-length film that answers some fan questions and ties it all up. Yeah, that would be nice to see. In fact, I know there were rumors for a while that there was going to be an actual possible cinematic release for an Equestria Girls feature film. I have that just sort of disappeared. In fact, to be honest, if we go back 3 years, there was a leak. You can call it a leak because a lot of the information has turned out to be false. A little bit of it is true. And some of this information that came from this apparent leak about 3 or 4 years ago basically said that one of the things it said was that there was going to be an Equestria Girls short cinematic theatrical film. That so far has not happened. Now, it was sort of half right on a prequel for the 2017 film, although it wasn't a feature-length special. It was a comic that got released. The leaks also gave some kind of hint as to a G5 prequel, but that never happened. I don't remember what it said about the G5 film, but I think it claimed it was going to be last year, but it wasn't, unless it was this year, but I can't actually remember. Nosy, I heard they were going to continue Equestria Girls up to G5 originally, but seems since the issue going on in the world and the impacts on films and other things, wondering if they have quietly ended it without announcing it. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, in the grand scheme of entertainment, the whole world's been set back about 3 years. I mean, the film industry alone is about 2 years behind schedule. I mean, there's films coming out later this year that were meant to be released last year, and they were pushed back till about sort of May onwards of this year. So effectively, it's possible. It is quite possible that due to delays, they just thought we're going to have to end it and maybe pick it up in a few years. Who knows? As for, I think, let's have a look here. I mean, when it comes to the Equestria Girls publications, there's 9 books currently published within the Equestria Girls universe. I know there's a comic series as well. Let's have a look. Comic series. Let's have a look. Several comic books. Right, so the Equestria Girl stuff is quite limited as well within comics. So, outside of the 4 films that we have and the specials, there's not much else. There's about 9 books. There's 2 special yearly annuals that came out, and there's a couple of a comic book series, but that's about it. Nosy says, seems strange that none of the cast have said anything online about EQ Girls either. They were quite vocal when Fim ended, but the case of Fim was still working on Equestrian Girls, yes, and no one has said anything off it ending. Yeah, that's a good point. You know, let's do a little bit here. Let's have a look. Has it actually ended? Right, there is an article here. There's two interesting articles, actually. I agree with that, those. Yeah, they could potentially still be under contract with Hasbro, so there might well be something in the works. But there's two little articles here which are quite interesting. So one is on Equestria Daily, so that's probably more original. The other one is on something called React 242. It's not really an article, really. Nah, that's not really an article. It's more like a random. I don't know what that is, but that doesn't look legitimate. Right, so this article on Equestria Daily is probably better to look at. Equestrian Girls possibly coming to an end. So this article was published about a year ago, well, just over a year ago, and it states the following. So the Equestrian Girls may be joining the pony counterparts of G4 winds down, according to director Katrina Hardley on Twitter. Her recent tweet reveals that she's wrapped up work on the projects and that DHX will no longer be producing any more Equestrian Girls content. Of course, there are still loads of unaired content that will still be released over the next year or so, but new creations are unknown. There is always a chance Hasbro will continue forward with their more internalized, bolder media, similar to what we saw with the pony shorts and the specials. We'll keep you up to date, and if there's any news at this year's Comic Con. So the following tweet was posted stating, today is my last day on Equestrian Girls. I'll be writing up my thoughts later today because it's going to take some time to distill the last 6 years of my life into some sort of coherent statement, and because I have work to do. I have to clarify, I don't know what's in store for the future of Equestrian Girls. Hasbro has not made mention if the season what we produced is the last one or not. It could be, or it could not be. The only thing I know for certain is that DHX's time in making the show for Hasbro has come to an end. So basically, it looks like the contract with DHX ended, but it's not to say that Hasbro might have plans for a later development of Equestrian Girls. What we got, Nosy? Know about Dia, they were involved. That's where the information on Equestrian Girls Series 3 came from. Right. Interestingly, on the subject of Equestrian Girls, I've not been able to find this, but I watched a video about a week ago, I think, week and a half ago, in regards to Equestrian Girls. And somebody basically said they had found on Reddit what appeared to be a leaked image of Sunset Shimmer in what appeared to be like a very early 3D render. Now, they weren't sure if this was just a fan thing, that, like a fan who was practicing 3D art and had done a Sunset Shimmer. They weren't sure. But at the same time, they weren't sure if this was potentially some sort of early release of what the future Equestrian Girls might look like. Because we know at least the Gen 5 film is going to be CGI, whereas the series is going to be apparently sort of 2D, like obviously like Gen 4 of MLP was. So potentially we might be looking at an Equestrian Girls return, but with a like a new 3D element. So that would be pretty interesting. Wait 1 minute, I'm just responding to something. Someone sent me a message on my other account. Just be 1 second. One sec. Sorry, I'm a terrible speller. I'm trying to do 2 things at once here, and I'm not very good at doing 2 things at once. Okay, I'll be 1 second. Right, okay, done this. Sorry about that. I'm terrible at trying to do 2 things at once. It's no good. Sending a message and trying to live stream at the same time. Not a good idea. Anyway, sorry, Nosy, where were you, mate? So Sam's taking personal emails and messages during a stream. Yeah, well, it happens. So yeah, the whole 3D thing for Equestrian Girls I've heard about, but maybe G5 will get a similar treatment. Depends on how successful it is and any demand. Yeah, it does depend. As I said earlier, there are these rumours about Equestrian Girls potentially having a sort of 3D revival. That it might follow in the footsteps of G5. Although again, G5 film, as far as we're aware, is going to be 3D, whereas the series is going to be 2D like G4. But yeah, potentially it is interesting. I think another thing that's worth mentioning too, and also out of interest here, because obviously Noelzy's doing a lot of talking, but I see we've got like 3 people on, so if anybody else wants to drop a message in the chat, feel free. Honestly, we're all up for debating here. It's all we're going to do for most of this stream is to talk about stuff, specifically pony related. But if you want to talk about anything else, feel free. It doesn't have to be MLP all the time. But anyway, in regards to MLP Gen 5, here's a question for anybody watching or anybody who wants to put a comment in later or now or whenever. What do you think the possibility is of Gen 5 relaunching the Brony fan base and potentially creating a new wave and sort of relaunching the fandom to what it was between sort of season 2 and season 4 of MLP? Because I know if you sort of go back to the golden years of the Brony fan base, it's often said that the golden years were between season 2 and season 4 of MLP Friendship is Magic. And personally, I wasn't sort of watching the series around that time, so I only know about a lot of the stuff that was going on during that time through like YouTube videos and various forums. So I know quite a lot of the stuff that was happening. But who here thinks that it's possible that the Gen 5 will cause a resurgence within the fan base and will create new things? It's technically already doing that, and the film isn't even released for like another 6 months. But you know, it's a good point. So I mean, what I think is going to happen is I think Gen 5 will definitely cause a big resurgence, especially once the films airs, once the film's on Netflix. That will definitely really kickstart things. I mean, the reveal of the characters has already kickstarted something, but I think it will get bigger with the film's release because that will sort of act as the focal point. Nolsey, what you got for us? Yeah, he thinks it would attract new fans, but as for fans of Gen 4 or Friendship is Magic, I'm not sure. There's still a lot of fans still around and talking about MLP, but it could cause an insurgence of conversations. Yeah, that's true. I think with Gen 5 in general, it's going to restart things. The big question a lot of people have been asking, especially on a lot of the Brody groups that I'm on, that I follow, people have been asking, do you think that Gen 5 will create a new generation of Brony? Because for a lot of us, we're Gen 4, you know, we sort of got into it when Friendship is Magic was airing. But there are plenty of Bronies and Pony fans who are watching Gen 3, Gen 2, even Gen 1. And I'm curious as to whether or not there will be a resurgence in new fans coming into it because of Gen 5. Now, here's the best way to look at that. If we look at Season 1, we go all the way back to 2010 when Friendship is Magic first started. In a lot of ways, from a social interaction point, the internet wasn't as big as it is today. We go back 10 years ago, like a lot of the social media sort of apps that we take for granted, a lot of the chat groups, a lot of the messenger systems that we have today, they didn't exist, you know. Obviously, we had Facebook, we had Twitter, we had all those, but there probably weren't half the groups on them that exist today. So potentially, with all these groups that now exist, the Gen 5 fan base could grow quite quickly. Obviously, the whole concept of the future of Gen 5 is really, I think it's largely to do with how the fans will take it, because there are fans who I think will always be Gen 4, who will always be Friendship is Magic fans. But then there are people who may well always be Gen 5 fans, because they maybe grow up with that. So we might end up having two fan bases, you know, the Brodies, if you will, and then whatever Gen 5 is, because they may not refer to themselves as Bronies. Again, it depends whether or not there is a resurgence of a fan base out of Gen 5. It's sort of one of those things that's always going to be a conversation starter in a lot of ways, because if you look at, tell you what, let's use this as an example, because Nolsey, you can relate to this. So Digimon is a very popular anime. However, there are people who are purely fans of Adventure 1. There are people who are purely fans of Digimon Tamers. So Digimon is sort of like that niche fan base where not everybody is a fan of the whole thing. There might just be a fan of a series. So in a lot of ways, we could simply say that there may well be in the future MLP fans who are fans of G4, not fans of G5, or fans of G4, fans of G5, not fans of G4, or both who are fans of both franchises. Yeah, you're right about that. There are plenty of fans out there who are watching the original. Yeah, who are watching the original MLP Gen 1 back in the day. That'd have been 1983, 1984, something like that. You know, let's get sort of, well, I say serious for a moment. There is one thing we could definitely mention that's sort of worth talking about. How can I put this? Obviously, people do leave franchises. People leave fan bases all the time. It happens. However, there is one thing I feel like is worth saying about the pony fan base, the Brony fan base. There is still a lot of stigma attached to it. There is still a lot of negativity, even now. I mean, for some people, they're under the impression that the Brony fan base is dead. You know, they're under the impression that it's faded away, and there's maybe a few dozen people online still keeping it alive. That ain't the case. It's still a very active thing. But the problem with the stigma still being attached to it has resulted in people leaving the fan base. Now, within the last sort of 4 to 5 years, sadly, I have witnessed several high-profile bronies on YouTube basically ditch everything. For example, I can't remember any of these names of these particular people, unfortunately, because as I say, it was quite some time ago now. But I remember one in particular who put a video up basically saying that they were leaving. They were going to shut down their YouTube account, shut down Facebook, Twitter, everything. They were just going to take themselves offline completely. And they were effectively probably never going to be walking amongst the fan base again. And a big bit of me wondered, is this potentially because somebody's found out they're into the MLP? You know, has a parent found out and are they getting a lot of negativity from the parent? Or has somebody found out at school and are they spreading it around the school? So as a result, you know, this person sort of left the fan base and deleted themselves from their online identity permanently. And it is something you see from time to time within this fan base. People who, you know, announce that they're stepping away because, you know, somebody's found out and they need to get their life in order now, or their priorities in order. I always found it's quite sad that some people are sometimes forced into leaving something they enjoy because other people are going to judge them on it. Yeah, it's sad that some have left the fan base either of their own free will or sadly being forced to. Yeah, I mean, people leave a fan base all the time because they decide they want to move on. That's fine. I mean, you know, you're perfectly fine to leave a fan base if you don't want to, you know, be part of it anymore. But it is very sad when you hear of people leaving any fan base because somebody in their life has, you know, whatever reason, doesn't seem to agree with it and will pressure them to leave that fan base. Yeah, what Nosy, what you're saying there, sadly, is a truth. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk of certain fans that were in YouTube, that were part of YouTube, that have left due to bullying or parent problems or so on. Yeah, that's that is a sad thing, as Nosy says. That there have been some very unfortunate people who have left the fan base, who have been building up a reputation on YouTube, and they've left because someone's found out. You know, I can't remember if it was YouTube or it was DeviantArt or it was Facebook, but I remember somebody putting up like a final message where they basically just said, you know, they were having a huge issue because one of the parents had basically found their MLP collection. Like, you know, they had an MLP collection stashed away in the bedroom, and one of the parents had found it. And now both the parents were sort of burning their ears off over this, and they were getting quite a lot of sort of issues over it. And in the end, they decided to throw it all away, ditch it completely, and do it all just because the parents told them that, you know, you shouldn't be into this type of thing. It's wrong. That is a very sad thing. But as I said, I'm aware of several people who have left because of such a problem. I mean, it's nice in a way. It is very nice to see you still have a lot of, shall we say, the original YouTube community that are still knocking about and are still doing things. But there are members who have left. I can't remember what his name was now. There was a Nosy. You might know who I'm talking about. I can't remember his name, but he was very active with the Bronies React videos, and he did quite a few of the Bronies React videos, and he did a lot of like animations as well, pony related animations. And then one day he did a video simply saying that he was walking away from it all, and he'd done some soul searching, and he decided that it wasn't good for him to be involved with sort of this whole community, and he didn't really think he belonged, and it was really quite sad. And he never deleted his channel or any of his videos, but he never posted anything again. And I can't remember his name, but I just remember he was involved with the Bronies React videos. I can't remember his name. It's kind of annoying, really. But I just remember he posted a video up maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, saying that he was walking away from the fandom because he sort of felt like he wasn't in the right sort of mind. He was having some personal problems, and he wanted to sort himself out, so he sort of walked away from it all. And as far as I'm aware, he never came back to it. I can't remember his name. I can picture his face, but I can't remember his name or even his YouTube name. I can't remember it. But you know, that unfortunately was another example of life getting in the way, people in life getting in the way. It can be a sad thing, really, when somebody sort of decides to quit something because somebody says you should quit. You know. Fluffy Unicorn. Hello, Fluffy Unicorn. Nice name, by the way. This is an example of how gender stereotypes and prejudice can cause harm to all members of society. There is absolutely nothing wrong with liking the TV show. No, there isn't. No, and I do agree. Gender stereotypes can be a huge problem. You know, it's problematic in a literal sense. I mean, I'll be completely honest about something here. If my dad found out that I was into a show about talking musical ponies, I don't think that would go down very well with him. I mean, my mum probably wouldn't be that bothered. She's not really the type to judge anyone, but my dad would probably be very judgmental. So let's just say he doesn't know. He doesn't know, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, he's probably never going to find out. But yeah, I don't think it really matters how old you are or what gender you are. You can watch whatever you want to watch. You know, I mean, I'm 32, and I still like to watch kids cartoons because half the time they're better than the stuff that's on mainstream telly. It wouldn't. No, he said it wouldn't go down with my dad. He doesn't agree with me collecting stuff either. Well, neither does my dad. I very much really agree with me collecting stuff either. Yeah, I mean, I have sold quite a lot of the stuff that I had, but that just got replaced with more stuff. Fluffy Unicorn. So you decide what's right. My parents probably don't approve of a few things I like to. Well, Fluffy Unicorn. I know I said this, but I really do like that name. It's such a great name. That is actually the type of name that really brings a smile to your face. Very great. Honestly, love the name, mate. Absolutely love it. But yeah, I mean, MLP isn't just one of the things I'm into. Well, I appreciate it's not your name, mate, but your YouTube, the YouTube name is fantastic. But as somebody who is into many different things, let's just say there are elements to my personality that my parents will never ever know about because I don't think they would handle it very well. So let's just say there's a lot of things I keep hidden from my parents because I generally am not a, shall we say, vanilla person. Let's just put it that way. So Fluffy Unicorn. Is there anything you'd like to discuss? Anything at all? Because seriously, we're probably going to be here for a while. I mean, the last live stream we did was over 2 hours long, so I ain't got anywhere to be. I'm not back at work until the 12th of April, so I'm free all night. So I know. So to Fluffy Unicorn, then, how long have you been a fan of MLP? Out of interest, are you a long-time fan? New fan? I just came to say hello. I should really be studying. I've been there, mate. Believe me, plenty of times where it's like I should be studying. Yeah. Sometimes it is hard to study. I mean, technically, I should really be studying at the moment because I'm sort of in the middle of an apprenticeship, but I can't be bothered. I might start doing it a week before I've got my next part of my exam for that. But for the moment, I'm not really going to bother. So it's just it's an interesting subject because let's look at it this way, right? Let me use this as an example. So, I just dropped that. That didn't go very well. Oh God, I'm dropping stuff here. Right. So this, as we know, is my diecast War Greymon, and I really hope I didn't break him by dropping him off the shelf there. No, he's all in good condition. There he is, people. That War Greymon that shifts into Avamon up in the back there. So, obviously, from a lot of perspectives, most people would look at him and, would just think to yourself, yeah, that looks cool. That looks like the type of thing that guys would be into. They'd probably look at little Scootaloo here and think, yeah, that's a really weird thing for a guy to own. Fluffy Unicorn states, I've liked MLP for as long as I can remember. I love Friendship is Magic. It's really nicely animated. Yeah, it is really nicely animated. One of the things that drew me to it, along with the characters and all the songs in it and the music, loved it. Yes, I did drop it, Nosy. I did drop my War Greymon. But it's sort of like anything, really. I mean, again, there's like this. I know it might seem a bit off topic, but again, there's like this stereotype of people being in the 30s and still living at home with mum and dad. I mean, I'm in my 30s. I still live with my parents. I mean, the only reason I live with my parents is because I just don't have a full-time job yet, and my plans to get a full-time job have been delayed by like 2 years due to all the stuff that's going on in the world at the moment. I am determined to get a full-time job next year, get a deposit sorted, and get my own place. That is my plan. I'm going to do it. Not everybody, moves out by the time of 26 and has a solid full-time job and everything in the world that they want. What jobs? Yeah. Fluffy Unicorn, what jobs? Lol, yeah. What jobs? I agree on that statement. I mean, at the moment, there aren't any jobs. At least I've got a job, even though it's only even though it's only part-time, at least it's a job, right? But yeah, what jobs? Bloody hell. It's an annoyance, isn't it? It really is. So, Fluffy Unicorn, who is your favourite MLP character? Mine is Princess Luna, followed closely by Twilight. 2 reasons for Luna reminds me a lot of myself because she's an outcast. She's an outcast. I always felt like an outcast at school. Twilight, again, a lot like me in the sense that she's sort of an outcast who felt very alienated to start with and only felt like she had her books for company. Again, sort of reminded me of me when I was at high school. But yeah, so as I say, I'm very interested to know what people's favourite characters are. Obviously, Nosy, I know what your favourite character is. Nosy, yeah, I too want my own place. There isn't many options for full-time work. No, there ain't. Once we have our own places, we can carry on collecting without having any pressure to stop or creep about with what we like to watch. No, that is true. That is very true. You know, when I finally get my own place, I will probably just be binge watching all sorts of stuff like MLP because I literally have almost all the DVDs for it now. Fluffy Unicorn, I like them all. Fair enough. That's a difficult question, though. I relate a lot to Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy. Yeah, I can understand why a lot of people relate to Pinkie and Fluttershy. I mean, I think Fluttershy, for a lot of people, obviously does represent how, you know, a shy person can sort of come out of the shells gradually and sort of be more social. And with Pinkie Pie, I think in a sense she's almost like the opposite of that. Well, she is the opposite of that. She is very fun-loving and loves to have a good time, but it is very clear there's a lot more to her character. I mean, we could get into a deep conversation about how there is this sort of theory that Pinkie Pie is actually suffering from depression, and that's why she's always so happy, because I do know that people who suffer really badly from depression can actually put on like a false narrative of appearing to be really cheerful. I'm well aware of that. Obviously, Nosy, I know Dash is your favourite, mate. Well aware of that. And yeah, Flutters and Pinkie are a great pair. I mean, I'll be fair. When it comes to pony fan fiction, so some of my favourite ones are about Fluttershy. You know, because she's just sort of that character who you can do a lot with. And I just want to give her a hug. I want to give Luna a hug. And I definitely want to give Sunny a hug. Because I really liked Sunny. Sunny out of the G5, Sunny's my favourite. I like her design. And she looks like she's a type of pony who would like a hug. I want to hug them all. Why not? I think in a sense that might well be part of the reason why MLP did so well, why Friendship is Magic did so well, because all its characters are incredibly relatable. Fluffy Unicorn, I've got to go now, but thanks for the interesting chat. Fluffy Unicorn, you are very welcome. Thank you for joining us. Take care of yourself, and good luck with your coursework that you were doing. Bye for now, Fluffy Unicorn. Fantastic name as always. Love the name. Nosy, somehow I think I'm going to really like Izzy from G5. Yeah, I can understand that. Izzy, you get a Pinkie Pie vibe from Izzy. Like a really strong Pinkie Pie vibe. Which is sort of interesting. There's an interesting theory, actually. There's a theory that Hitch Trailblazer might be Sunny's older brother. There's a theory that they might well be related. Again, it's just a theory. There's no way of telling for sure if they are. They might just well be friends, or they could well be siblings, but there's a theory going around that they might actually be brother and sister, which would be quite interesting to talk about. Let's have a look here. I'm curious to know, have I... see. Have I got any new messages at all? No new messages. Nope, no new messages. Fair enough. Sir Knowlesy. I'll have a think here. Ooh, I know. Have you got any sort of do you have like an MLP sort of I'm trying to think of the word here, Holy Grail? Do you have an MLP Holy Grail that you'd want to own? Something from like a collectible? I know what mine is. Well, I've got two actually. Obviously, there's Bajura, those Japanese figures that are coming out. Sunset and Luna, I do want to own. I have Sunset on pre-order, and I'm going to pre-order Luna when I get paid in like about 2 weeks' time. I'm definitely pre-ordering her. I hope I try and get Celestia if I can. But do you have any go, like, you know, creme de la creme, anything you'd want to get hold of? My copy of Past. Yeah, I know you keep saying that you want to get my actual copy. For any fans out there, no doubt if you read fan fictions, you've probably heard of the one of the famous MLP fan fictions, Past Sins. I'm pretty lucky that I actually own an actual physical copy of the hardback book that the author Penstroke actually released, that he self-funded and released. Luckily, I actually have a copy of that book. You know what always makes me laugh, Nosy? You keep saying, you know, you really want to own that book. You own books, and it takes you like a year to read one chapter. I mean, have you actually ever read Past Sins on Film Fiction? Have you read it? I mean, hell, if you want a copy of the book, mate, you can buy one off Ministry of Image. You'd like a lot of the vinyl collection figures. Yeah, I would actually. I only own two of those. I own Luna and Fluttershy. I wouldn't mind to. The problem is they're very hard to get hold of. Well, not all. Some of them you can pick up on eBay for like a tenner, boxed. You know, some are rarer. Like the Luna figure I've got, that's very rare. The rarest one of the vinyl collectibles for MLP is the Alicorn Twilight. That's the rarest one. It's very hard to find. Now, you should read it. You should read Past Sins, mate. You should either get yourself on Film Fiction and read it, or you should buy a copy from Ministry of Image. That would be your best option. I'm curious. According to this, we've got 3 people watching. So obviously, one's you, Nosy, right? So I don't know. Would he class me as one? I don't think it would. So we've got at least 2 other people watching. You haven't got yourself logged in on 2 accounts, have you, Nosy? But we've definitely got 3 people watching, including yourself. 3 people. Don't know who the other 2 people are. It's a shame we can't see that. It'd be interesting to see if we could actually see who was watching. But never mind. I mean, in the grounds of fan fiction, what I always found is worth mentioning. I do actually agree with this as well. This is something which has been stated in the past. So one of the downsides with the Film Fiction website is it is very oversaturated. It has a bit of a problem of being full of... Let me put it this way. You've got your completed stories. You've got sort of your in-progress stories. And then you have a huge amount of incomplete stories. So, and as a result of that, it's sort of a bit of a shame, really. I'd love to see some of these incomplete stories be completed, but some of them have been incomplete for years, and I don't think they ever will be completed. Okay, so Nosy is watching. If you're watching the video as you're live, it can show as a viewer too. Right, so we've got 3 people currently on, so if it's me and you then, Nosy, there's 1 more person watching then, excluding you and me. Right. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting to sort of think about the potential. I mean, there's quite a few fin fiction writers that have really written some amazing stuff, and there's other writers who have started writing amazing things and then just never finished them. So it's sort of almost like a common thing within a lot of fan bases. People start writing fan fictions and don't finish them. Yeah, it's an unfortunate downside to life, but what can you do? Uh, not much else. Right, so if it's showing me and you, then we've got one other person watching. Might give it another half an hour. And then we might end it early, because I know we sort of did like 2.5 hours last time, but we had a lot of conversation going on. I might give it another 30 minutes. If by 10 o'clock, if we're still rather quiet, we might end the stream, mate. But we'll just see what happens. So, favourite song, MLP song. What's your favourite MLP song? I mean, I've got a few. The Smile song is definitely one of them. Every song that appears in Crusaders of the Lost Mark, which is the season 5 episode where the Crusaders get the cutie marks. Every song in that is so good. Yeah, a few other bits and bits as well, but yeah, most of my favourite songs are either linked to the Cutie Mark Crusaders or potentially main 6 songs. I think a lot of the followers are overseas. Yeah, I think they are. I know. One of our followers is from Argentina. I mean, what time is it in Argentina at the moment? It's about 6:30 in Argentina. So we never know. We might be getting, depending whether or not they're busy tonight, we might potentially have somebody coming on. But hey, like I said, we'll give it another 30 minutes, mate. And, we sort of by 10 o'clock-ish, if there's nobody else joining us, we'll do it at early end. Yeah, Floors is a good song, and I'll Fly is a good one as well. That is a good one. I think Equestria Girls songs. My favourite Equestria Girls song is My Past Is Not Today, Sunset song. That is bloody brilliant. I love that song. Monday Blues. Every song in Rainbow Rocks. The opening song for Legend of Everfree, along with The Magic in Me, is another good song. And I can't remember it now. The Sunset Shimmer song, is it Let It Rain? That's another really good one I like as well. So I've just listed most of them. That's most of them, probably almost all the songs that I like. I think in a lot of ways, it's the songs that will really resonate with a lot of people. That, the music in the show keeps you going. I mean, the Smiles song for me is a very, very important song because it's really one of those songs that's kept me going when there's been times I just felt real blue and just real down and I've just needed something to keep myself going. So yeah, it's important that songs like that resonate with people. As I said earlier, the characters as well, the main six especially, resonate with people. Yeah, Let It Rain, Cafeteria Song, The Past Is Not Today. I mean, the interesting thing about the cafeteria, the interesting thing about the Cafeteria Song is that was, I basically listened, or should I say, watched that particular music video song for Equestrian Girls a lot before I even watched that film. And I'll be honest, I avoided the Equestrian Girls film for ages, for probably like nearly a year, because I had a, let's just say, I had a general impression that it wouldn't be. I just felt like it would be too different, that it wouldn't work, that humanizing them wouldn't work. And then eventually it was on Netflix. I just thought, you know what, sod it, and I watched it, and it turned out I really liked it. To be precise, I really like Sunset Shimmer. I had character. I really do like the character. But I've always, it's a shame in the sense that Equestrian Girls ended when it did, because I think there was so much potential for that show. And it sort of ended it really on a bit of a low note. It didn't really get the ending it deserved. Let's see. Oh, not a lot going on that side. It's you know, just thinking about sort of music and genuine future for MLP. I think of the song "Solidarity" from Prince or whatever. I know there's that line in it where it says, you know, I believe it goes, what is it? Will you still be? What was it? I think is it? Will I still see you at the con? Will you still be singing every song 20 years from now? I think that's the lyric. I often sort of think about that song, and I often think in a lot of ways that represents the fan base. You're always going to be a fan of something, you know, whether it be MLP, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Star Trek, Star Wars. You're always going to be a fan of something like that, even if, you know, eventually maybe you start to sort of drift away from it. Eventually you'll go back to it. To quote somebody who I'm a fan of, obviously, if anybody's who has obviously watched a Disney film, you will be familiar with the musical works of Hans Zimmer. Now, Hans Zimmer, in an interview he did, 15 years ago, I believe it would have been, 15, 16 years ago, he basically said, if I remember this right, there is a place that we're always wanting to go back to, and we will get there if we just persevere. So in a lot of ways, there's always somewhere in our life where we feel the most comfortable. Now, whether or not that is a franchise, a place you live, friends that you know, well, I think we always go back to the places that we love and the places where we feel most comfortable. So even though some people have sadly left the Brody fan base for personal reasons, I don't think they ever leave it in spirit. They're probably still there in spirit. And I think in like 20 years' time, when we're all in our 50s and we're starting to get old and go grey, we'll still be hanging around in some capacity. We'll still be remembering these days. We'll still be remembering the days of Gen 4 and perhaps even the days of Gen 5 or whatever MLP will be by that point. I think we'll always remember it. You know, you always remember the things that you're a fan of. I think that's what's important. It doesn't matter what it is, you need to have something in your life that you enjoy. Whether it's football or Star Wars or MLP or anime or horror films or, you know, playing PlayStation, you know, there's always something that I think helps you through the day and helps you through life. Because let's be honest, life is a drag. Life is, you know, life for in reality. Once you're an adult, what is life? Life is going back to work. Life is going to work. You know, Monday to Friday, you're going to work. You're probably dealing with customers you don't want to deal with. You're probably getting annoyed because your boss is annoying, or you've got work colleagues that you don't get on with. But at the end of the day, you're always going to have something that keeps you going, something that you enjoy. Because that thing that you enjoy, that's what keeps you sane. So don't ever let go of the things that you like. Because not only do they define who you are, they keep you ticking. They keep you sane up here. So even if it's ponies or Star Wars or Star Trek or anime or bloody tinkering with technology, whatever it is, enjoy it. Embrace that side of yourself, because that is what keeps you going. And never be ashamed of anything. Unless, of course, it's illegal. But, you know, but don't ever be ashamed if you're a fan of something, because, you know, you've got to be a fan of something to keep going. And I would happily say I am happy that I discovered the Brody fan base. I am happy that I discovered MLP, because it has kept me going. It has been a spark in the darkness. It has really kept me going when times have been low. And that's what we all need, especially in the days like today, in the times that we're in for the moment. We just need to persevere and keep positive. And there's plenty of ways to keep positive. Wow, that was quite deep. That was a pretty deep moment there. Oh, damn. And, you know, the more I look at myself in this webcam, the more I think, I really need a haircut. I mean, this hair is going mad. Well, I don't think the hairdressers are open for like another 2 weeks. I think they open about a week before I go back to work. So I might be able to get a haircut before I go back to work, but it's unlikely. I'll probably have to wait a week or so. Let the queues die down. Nilsy, I totally agree. For me, life is crap. Mostly with work being stressful, friends, watching film, and whatever else I enjoy has kept me going. Listening to music helps. Yeah, it is true. I mean, we all have ways of coping, and I think that's important in life. You know, it's life can be stressful. I mean, life's stressful at the moment. I mean, I know I might be getting off topic here, but I've been real stressed recently. I think everybody has, and hopefully we're coming to the end of those times, and we'll be in better times soon. And, you know, next year will be the start of something new. Will be the start of something better. But yeah, ponies keep us all sane. I think that's what's important. That is what's important. Keeping yourself going mentally. Keeping your mind ticking over. Very much so. Just you and me now, Nosy. Yeah, being able to do anything is staring at the same 4 walls. Yeah. Yeah, it can do. No, walls don't help. They don't. Sometimes it's better to not have walls. Dear me. It's just... I mean, on the subject of music, I am curious. Do you think we'll have, music and songs in Gen 5? Because that really was part of the selling point for Gen 4. You know, I mean, if you look at some of the songs from Gen 4, they have like millions of views on YouTube and thousands of comments. And people really like the music. So I think Gen 5 will have to have that in order to be successful. You can have good characters and good scripts and good animation, but you need to have the good songs and the good music as well to keep it all alive. Yeah. But yeah, I think Gen 5 will definitely have to copy some of Gen 4. You'll have to learn from Gen 4 if it's going to be successful. I mean, speaking of Gen 5, more and more fans, more and more people are starting to theorize that the main 6 in Gen 5 are potentially like legendary figures now. They're like, ponies from history. So it will be interesting to see how much time's passed since Gen 4 ended. Maybe Nosy thinks that the main characters might have songs, but with the world being different, I'm not sure. Well, who knows, mate? They might not. They might try something new. I'm just trying to wonder. I think every episode of Gen 4 has a song. I don't think there isn't an episode that doesn't have a song. I think almost all of them have songs, really. Interesting. Yeah, we'll give it another 20 minutes, mate. And like I said, we might end the stream in about 20 minutes. It's just you and me at the moment. Yeah. Let's have a look. If there's any info on G5. No, there's no information really about the possibility of Gen 5 having songs, but I actually sort of think we're still some ways from having any real information. We've had some we had 4 likes, so people have been watching, so that's good. We know people watch the stuff. Yeah, I mean, we are only a little YouTube channel in the drop of the ocean that is YouTube, but we do our part. We do the best that we can with the resources that we have. Not to jinx ourselves, mate, but I will say, as far as I'm aware, I don't think any of the videos we've put up have had any dislikes. I've never seen a dislike in any of our videos. They get quite a lot of likes, more or less 100% likes, so that's a good thing. Definitely a good thing. Right. Got 15 minutes left, mate. Before I'm going to end the stream in 15 minutes, unless we get anybody else in. But yeah, we'll probably end it soon. I know I keep repeating myself. It's mad. It's mad. Yeah, just to sort of touch upon something with the 2017 film. One of the things I liked was the marketing behind that. I mean, I like the way how one of the primary marketing points was, was to state discover a different breed of hero. So, or was it discover a different kind of hero? Something like that. I only ever had 2 dislikes on one video. Well, that's not bad. That's pretty good. But as for that is good. Only 2 dislikes. It is good. But I am quite curious about that. Yeah, I mean, I saw that video where Dr. Wolf was talking about, does Sunny have the friendship journal? If she does, if she has a copy of it, or even the original, it generally goes on to state that there is a clear link between Gen 4 and Gen 5. I mean, realistically, if the creators had wanted to, Gen 5 literally could have been a completely different thing. But the fact that it is looking more and more like Gen 5 is heavily connected to Gen 4. See, here's sort of a theory that I have. So it's theorized that Sunny has Twilight's friendship journal, either the original or a copy of it. If she does, then that basically implies the main 6 did exist in this equestrian world. Obviously, they're no longer around. And perhaps Sunny is inspired by the stories and legends of these main 6, of these heroes of Equestria. And the friendship journal is acting as her guide. Now, if that's the case, and the main 6 obviously did exist in this universe, where's Twilight? Because she's an alicorn, so technically she's immortal. So where is she? But it is interesting to see that we have potential that the main 6 are treated as some form of celebrity in this world. Ooh, I just had an interesting thought. What if Sunny is living in Twilight Sword Library? Or is living in Ponyville, or what used to be Ponyville? Yeah, because obviously the library was destroyed, and then she had the castle. But what if Sunny's living in the reconstruction of that library, or is living in what used to be that library? That'd be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm really quite excited for Gen 5, largely because I've got so many questions. I mean, it's coming up to the end of March now, and we're approaching April. So let's see, April, May, June, July, August, September. We're 6 months away at least, because I'm still sort of guessing that the release date is September, even though that leak that we talked about a few days ago said it's going to be November. But I'm fairly certain we'll be getting some form of teaser showing us what to expect in the next 2 to 3 months. Because it's possible that we might just see statues of the main 6. Because as I have recently watched that sort of rough, incomplete animatic that appears to show an alternative ending for Gen 5 for Gen 4. Hang on. Don't update now, computer. Please don't update when I'm trying to do a live stream. 1 second knows it's decided it wants to update itself. I don't want it to update itself while I am on. That'll do. Right, anyway. But talking about Gen 5, yeah. I'm generally curious as to how the main 6 will be incorporated into Gen 5. It's very clear they have a presence, but a presence in the regards that they are, basically potentially, I don't know, legends, heroes, that they've got some connection to it. But I'd be very interested to see what that connection is. Here's one thing I want to mention, actually. Since we know the main 6 are obviously somehow connected to Gen 5, will poor old Spike be mentioned? Although Spike does not be mentioned, The main 6, yeah, they were great. Any mention of their little dragon friend, Who? Spike. Never heard of him. You think he might just get abandoned and ignored and poor Spike will just be forgotten about? I hope he is, because I always kind of root a little bit for Spike, because he's sort of that character who just never really got his time to shine. He got a few episodes where he sort of was the primary focus of the episode, but he never really got that chance to shine as a character. His character development was very slow. He didn't really get any major development until much later on in the series. And I always felt like his character had a lot of potential, and they really just wasted that potential. I would have loved, for a start, to have found out, where did Spike's egg come from? Who were his parents? It's a shame we never got to see that. And I really do hope he gets some sort of mention in Gen 5, because the main 6 are clearly going to be mentioned, so Spike deserves to be mentioned as well. I really hope he does get mentioned. Hey, what do you think, Nolsey? Do you think Spike deserves a bit more attention? Because he's sort of a character who's very sidelined a lot. What do you think? I think Nolsey's keyboard's very slow. Oh, Nosy. I mean, I'm really hoping that dear old Spike gets a mention at some point. Yeah, as you say, Spike barely had any development. He didn't. I mean, I know in a lot of ways he was sort of like the secondary character for the main 6. He was sort of almost like the comedic character to a certain extent. But I always really wanted him to have more of a role and just to be sort of appreciated more. I mean, yeah, he had sort of the fact that he was seen as the hero of the Crystal Empire because he sort of, caught the Crystal Heart and enabled Cadence to activate it. And, he has done his fair share of things, but it always felt like that was done just to give his character something to do. It was never really done to develop his character. I mean, when he finally learned to fly, that was sort of a brief bit of development. But, yeah, he never really got what he deserved. He really deserved a lot more. It would have been nice to have seen him have a real moment to shine. He does in the comics. I've read some of the MLP comics, and there are some comics where he does actually get a good chunk of character development, but it does not much in that way, at least outside the comics. What he's saying here, Nosy, they seemed to try to make him something of an element bearer, but that didn't happen. Yes. There is still a huge fan theory, which I believe I have talked about on this channel in a previous video, about Spike being the 7th element of harmony. Because let's be honest, Equestria Girls basically sets it up that there are 7 elements, because you've got Sunset Shimmer, who is definitely an element of harmony. We don't know what she represents, but Redemption maybe, but she's definitely an element. So I know there was massive theories that Spike was a secret seventh element, and there is evidence to back that up. If you haven't watched it, I would recommend watching. Obviously, there's a video on this channel, Brothers UK, where I talk about Spike being the seventh element, but there's also a really good video that Dr. Wolf did. My video was in response to his video, so watch his video first, and then if you want to watch the one video I did, because it's worth sort of looking into. I know there's a lot of fan theories about that. I think originally they might have planned to have Spike as a seventh element, but for whatever reason, they never went down that route. You know, they never really decided to, you know, make Spike a relevant character, if you will. So yeah, it's a shame. It would have been nice to have seen Spike progress and have like more of a, you know, more of a backstory and more of an importance to the group. But I know later on they sort of tried to flesh him out a bit more. You know, I mean, they sort of gave him a bit of like, you know, they had that episode which focused on what Spike did when the main six went off to do whatever. It turned out that he was basically playing Dungeons and Dragons with Big Mac and Discord. So, you know, at least we got to know what he was doing when he wasn't with the main six. But yeah, they really sort of turned Spike into. He was very much the boy wonder. He was sort of the secondary character to the main character, if you will, of Twilight, who just never really mattered in the grand scheme of the plot. And it's just a real shame. It's a real shame that they never decided to make his character more important to the overall series. You know, it would have been great to see that. Hello, Zero Bunny. Good guess. Truth. Yeah, truth indeed. Yes, poor Spike never really got the character drive he deserved. There are some really, really good fan fictions about Spike, but as I say, he never got what he deserved in the series. He was never the main character, but they could have done something more with him. Yeah, they could have, Nosy, they could have. His character was very much sidelined, and you're only you know he's definitely there for Twilight when he's needed. You know, he really is her rock in a lot of circumstances. But it's just annoying that, you know, he never got his chance to shine. If there is one thing about Spike's character that did sort of bug me a bit, it was that. Give me a second here, my man. Oh yeah, in the final season, in season 9. One of the things that bugged me about the sort of like one of Spike's sort of final episodes, because obviously there were 2. They had the episode where you had that dragon show up who claimed to be Spike's father, but he wasn't Spike's father. Why they did that, I don't know. Why couldn't you have had, like, you know, an episode where you get to find out who Spike's parents are? That would have been fantastic. And then you also had that episode where, for some weird reason, they decided to sort of make out that Spike had been, you know, sort of had developed a really strong friendship with the character of Gabby Gums, the Griffin that sort of became an honorary member of the Cutie Mark Crusaders. Again, she was a character who sort of showed up, had one episode, and then disappeared. And then they throw her into season 9 in one of the last episodes, sort of give Spike another bit of backstory. Yeah, as Zero Bunny says, they did Spike super dirty. They did. They really sort of made him a non-important character. You know, the sort of the 2 Spike-centric episodes in season 9 felt very rushed. They really didn't do him much justice. And I mean, let's say if you talk about Spike in the film, if you look at Spike's character in the 2017 film, he doesn't really do anything. I mean, he's a character who, yeah, he's there. He's part of the story, but overall, his character doesn't really give anything to the film. I mean, yes, he's sort of there for Twilight when she needs him, but purely as to console her. It's not like he is important to the story, and that's sort of the thing with Spike. He's a character who has so much potential, and he's never given that potential. And it's a shame. It really is. It would have been nice to have seen Spike have an end game, to perhaps see who his parents were, maybe even get to see him become an element bearer. Because as we said earlier, that was probably what he was supposed to be originally, a seventh element bearer. And he never did. Never became that. But anyway, I should just say hello to Zero Bunny. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. We're always happy to have people pop up and say hi on the chat when we do a live stream. So thank you very much for saying hello, Zero Bunny, and thank you for commenting and, well, talking to us today in this conversation. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's sort of that problem with Spike, really. No problem, you're splitting facts. Yeah, we are. A lot of different facts. I mean, if we want to sort of talk about characters in general, this may or may not be agreed upon. I mean, agree or disagree. But I always sort of felt like, because I know the original concept for Friendship is Magic, it was only meant to be 3 seasons, but it got 9 and a film because of the Brody fan base. Now, the thing is with Twilight, when Twilight became an Alicorn, I think we can all agree that her character as an Alicorn for a vast majority of the late seasons was sort of pointless. She didn't really do anything that was, she didn't do anything in a leadership role. Her character she was still Twilight. She was still the book-loving, bookworm who was still sort of learning to understand the value of friendship. And in a lot of ways, if you sort of look at Twilight's character from season 4 to season 9, she didn't really start to develop the character until she became the head mistress of that school she opens. I believe it's season 7, I think she opens that school. And, she does develop from then on, but really, as an Alicorn, she doesn't do anything. She literally does nothing until season 9, when she's handed the crown by Celestia and Luna and basically told, "You're the leader now." And, it's just sort of, okay, I understand that, but why didn't this happen 5 seasons ago? I understand that she was the princess of friendship, but Twilight's position as the princess of friendship was a very rare thing. There was only a handful of episodes where she actually was the princess of friendship, where she was actually trying to help other ponies become friends. As you know, buddy, legit, like, it was just for the sake of it. I joined the fandom late, wished that they just kept with Lauren's vision about 6 girls hanging out and going on adventures. Yeah, because obviously, as you say, Zero Buddy, the original concept for MLP, the first 3 seasons was, as you say, was Lauren Forst's vision. I know she stepped away after season 3, and I don't think she had anything to do with the series at all after season 3. Not even the 2017 film. And in a lot of ways, the first 3 seasons are definitely the best. Season 4 I do like, because season 4 carries the mantle of the first 3 seasons. So here's the way I look at it. Season 1 to 5 are really good. I like the first 5 seasons. Let me just do a quick bit of Googling because I can never remember what it is. Hang on. I think it's season 6 I'm thinking of. Let's just have a quick look. Episodes. Yeah, it is. So season 6 was, I'll be honest, season 6 was my least favourite season. Because, it just felt very sort of unimaginative. And then you had like the final series where you had the changelings sort of be redeemed. I wasn't a big fan of the changelings when they got redeemed. Like the changelings as they were was where they were interesting. When they were redeemed and they became something else entirely, it just wasn't as good as the original design. The original design was far more interesting. Season 7 wasn't bad because that had quite a lot of character development. And then season 8 and 9, I mean, don't get me wrong, season 9 was good. I did enjoy the final season, but I will be 100% honest. For me, season 9 was 90% pandering to the fan base. A lot of the episodes were just... They were basically just for the fans, They were basically doing stories that the fans wanted. And as a result, it was sort of a season that it sort of wrapped everything up, but at the same time it didn't. It left a lot of questions, and a lot of the episodes just felt like we're really doing this just to please the fans. We're not really giving it a coherent storyline. Zero Bunny, yeah, the designs for the new church designs were horrible. Yeah, I mean when I watched the season 6 finale and when the changelings sort of were redeemed, I wasn't that impressed. I hated the design, and I just felt like I am actually kind of happy that they didn't redeem Queen Chrysalis, because when it came to it, Queen Chrysalis was sort of a very interesting villain, and she was probably the only villain that was still really a villain by the finale. And it was good to see you had a villain who didn't redeem themselves. Yeah, the final season was lackluster, Zero Bunny. Yeah, it was. I mean, it had its good moments. The last episode was good. I mean, the final song and the way they did it had a lot of meaning, but again, it was heavily reliant on fan service, because that's how I personally would describe the final season of Friendship is Magic. It was 90% fan service. It didn't set out to finalize the series. It just set out to sort of please the fans. And I think that's sort of why season 9's hit and miss. It's got some good episodes, but it's got some sort of, mediocre episodes. But yeah. But for me, the first 5 seasons are the best seasons, because they were the core of the show. Season 6 is the weakest. Season 7 was sort of okay. Season 8 and 9, okay. In a lot of ways, I do know that there's a lot of fans that sort of stopped watching after season 5. I am aware that for obvious reasons, a lot of fans hated Starlight Glimmer, especially when she sort of got, again, redeemed, because, the common trope in MLP was villains redeeming themselves and becoming good. And I love Starlight as a villain. When she first appeared, she was a very interesting villain. But when she sort of redeemed herself and became good, she just became a Twilight Sparkle clone. I mean, literally, Twilight basically became her Celestia. And all Starlight was doing everything that Twilight did in the first sort of 3 seasons. And it was sort of a bit of a waste. Because they could have done a lot more with her character rather than just turn her into a Twilight clone. But, you know, as a saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And to be honest, at one point, when Starlight came into it as the redeemed character and sort of became Twilight Sparkle's unofficial pupil, I actually thought they were going to slowly push Twilight out of the series, and she was going to end up being like Celestia. She was only going to show up now and then, because I know there were theories and rumors that Twilight was going to sort of take up the mantle as a ruler in Canterlot, but instead she became a school teacher. You know, it's just weird when you look at these characters and you sort of look at them as a whole. You know, in one sense of the word, you had Twilight start off in season 1. She didn't have any friends. She didn't value friendship. By season 3, she valued friendship. In season 4 was almost, she was trying to accept her new Alicorn status, which made sense. And then the only problem was, I will say this, there are some episodes of MLP in later seasons where they have a habit of repeating things. Like one of the problems with some of the writing in later seasons, they had a bad habit of taking Fluttershy and having Fluttershy relearn the lesson of confidence for the 10th time. There's about 6 episodes where Fluttershy is just learning to be confident again, which they did. They've done it like 6 or 7 times. Right, so let me just catch up here. What have we got? Nosing. When Starlight was first introduced, I hated her, as well as a lot of others, but her development was pretty good. She accomplished some pretty important things, but then the whole school thing, the development sadly seemed to be a waste. Zero Bunny legit. Also, to quote Celestia, friendship can't be taught. Yeah, good point. Nosy, as you say, she became an early Twilight clone. Yeah, I don't quite know why they did that, because it just felt, it was just really, I think that's why it annoyed a lot of fans, that for some weird reason they turned Starlight into sort of Twilight's unofficial pupil, and it didn't really make any. I understand why they did it, but at the same time, it wasn't a very good thing to do, because it gave the impression they were trying to push Twilight out of the show whilst trying to turn her into a teacher. Now, here's the thing. You have Twilight teaching Starlight, and then in the final episode of season 9, years have passed, and Twilight has another pupil who may well one day take up her mantle. And I know a lot of people often question why Starlight never became an Alicorn, because technically, from a magic perspective, Twilight is just as strong and talented as Starlight is. There's even theories that Starlight is a stronger magic user than Twilight is. You know, I mean, for a start, like Twilight has the ability to fly just by using magic, which, as far as we're aware, Twilight could never do. So, you know, as a character, Starlight is a bit of an oddball, because she is, to stay, a Twilight Sparkle clone. It's very odd, you know. And I will say that MLP as a whole, one of its weaknesses is that it struggled with strong character development. If you look at the main 6 as a whole, by about season 5, I would say, the series had run its course. You know, the CMC had acquired their cutie marks. the main six had all sort of accomplished their dream goals. So by season 5, in a lot of ways, the main overall story arc was complete. You know, if you sort of look at it, you know, like, for example, Rainbow Dash was now a Wonder Ball. Fluttershy was like a more confident character and was working towards her animal sanctuary. You know, Applejack came to understand the meaning of people helping her, and you know, it's all there. Like Rarity had a successful fashion business. You know, season 5, by the end of it, the overall story of the show was complete. The last 4 seasons had a bad habit of repeating lessons already learned. If that's one of the weaknesses of the show, I personally think, yeah, definitely. Wow, we're really getting into some heavy stuff here, but you know, I'm always happy to discuss heavy stuff in any type of series because there's always something interesting to talk about. What's that? We have any messages? No messages. So Zero Bunny, what we got here? Truth, they were just dragging it out. I also personally hated the CMC's cutie marks. That they didn't have their own personal cutie marks because it hinted at their talents in the past. It just hurt me. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there. There's an episode, I can't remember what season it is. I think it's season 2. There is an episode where there's 2 episodes actually. Yeah, there's 2 episodes where they heavily imply what the CMC's talents are. I know Sweetie Belle was always heavily implied that her talent was in music, that she was a natural singer. Scootaloo, namesake, that she was like a stunt pony. You know, she was good on a scooter and good at doing stunts. And Apple Bloom was always sort of shown to be very creative and very good at creating things. But yeah, I get what Zero Bunny means. Their talents were on display, and then when I'll admit I do like the episode Crusaders of the Lost Mark. It's one of my favorite episodes, but I do understand where you're coming from in regards to their talents, because the way their cutie marks work is their individual talents are on the cutie mark, but at the same time, the cutie mark is sort of saying they're always going to be the cutie mark Crusaders, and their sort of special talent is helping ponies understand their cutie marks or to find their cutie marks, even though it's very clear their talents are not that, they're the opposite. You know, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Again, I know that part of the problem with some of the writing in MLP later on was that Hasbro started hiring writers, additional writers, if you are, like outside the main group. And some of these sort of freelance writers, they knew almost nothing about the show. So when they were given a basic breakdown of just sort of the characters and the world, they just write an episode, say, based on, I don't know, Fluttershy gaining confidence, even though that had already been done. So it is quite potential that the Cutie Mark Crusaders originally were going to find their individual talents. In fact, an interesting thing is when they showed the sort of work in progress animatic for I forget what episode, I believe it was season 5, where they have the old school friend of Applejack who's become a musician, and she sort of finds herself again and does that amazing song I Am Just a Pony, which I absolutely love that song. When I first saw the animatic for that, I actually thought I was looking at Sweetie Belle getting her cutie mark, because obviously Sweetie Belle's talent was in music, and I thought, is that Sweetie Belle giving a musical performance and gaining her cutie mark? That was my original thought. But yeah, I do agree with Zero Bunny. The cutie mark Crusaders in the early episodes, very clearly their talents were hinted at. And there's even that episode where Twilight actually tells them, you know, just think about what you're already good at. Which again, in that episode where she says that to them, it's stated several times what their talents are. But yeah, I think the thing with the Cutie Mark Crusaders, the creators and Hasbro didn't want to move them away from being the Cutie Mark Crusaders. So in a lot of ways, they sort of cursed them. They turned them into the eternal CMC forever. They're like joined at the hip, quite literally, because of their cutie marks. But yeah, you bring up a good point. You really do, Zero Bunny. That is a very good point to make. It is sort of a shame that they never had their chance to really shine as individual characters. They sort of tried to do that in the later episode where they sort of decide to, you know, break apart and try and find things to do, which sort of destroyed their talent because it sort of set it up to state that, you know, their talent is helping other ponies, which is fair enough, but, you know, why did you set up their talents in like season 1 and then by season 5 throw them away? I mean, as I said, I do really like that episode primarily for the music and the songs, but I do understand where you're coming from in regards to throwing their talents out the window, because they did. You know, their talents were very strongly hinted at in season 1 and 2, and as you say, they just sort of disappeared. And because I know there's in the episode where they gain their cutie marks, it's sort of, you know, it does this whole thing where it's like, well, their talent is helping ponies like find their true selves. It's like, well, I believe they only ever do that twice. But in like 5 seasons, they only actually end up helping a pony twice. And then after, I mean, here's something that's worth pointing out. After they help, what was her name? Is it Silver? Oh, I forget her name. Is it Silver Bell? Oh, Diamond Tiara. Diamond Tiara, that's her name. Like, you know, after they sort of help Diamond Tiara become a better pony and a better, you know, like a better person. After that episode, Diamond Tiara just disappears. You never see her again. It's like, you know, she's sort of like the on and off bully at the CMC school. And then after she sort of accepts the error of her ways and decides to become a better pony and a better person, and she disappears. You know, yes, as he says here, buddy, yeah, she just disappears. It's like you never see her again. It's like, well, what happened to the reformed, you know, Diamond Tiara? Where is she? She just disappears. You never see her again. It's the same thing with a friend, Silver Spoon. She disappears. You never see either of those two characters again after that episode. You know, they're not mentioned. They're not referenced. I also think after that episode that you never see the CMC go to school again. They never go back to the school, if I remember right. Oh yeah, they helped that the British, the Little Pip, and the other pony later that was against Cute Max. Yeah, I forget his name. He's the little brother of Soren, isn't he? I can't remember his name. And they helped him see their good, and he gets his own. Yeah. That's when he set up sort of the Cutie Mark sort of Crusaders summer camp. But yeah, there's a lot of characters that pop up from one episode or two, but they never come back, which is unfortunate. Yeah, it is. There's I mean, yeah, but that was just to make the clone Cutie Marks look like a good idea. Yeah, I get where you're coming from there, Zero Bunny. I do. It's it's sort of like anything. I mean, for example, one of the overall issues I think with the series as a whole is that they never really connected events. I mean, for example, here's a really good example. After the film, I believe it was seasons. Yeah, I think it's season 7 where they sort of try to link in the events of the film by having the map in Twilight's Castle upgrade itself, and they have all the locations from the film on there. They have the pirate ship, the Hippogriff's kingdom, is it Crud Town, the sort of desert town they go to. They have all the locations on the map. They only go to Mount Ares, or Sequestria as it's known. They only go to that one location from the film. They never go to any of the other locations. The characters are only referenced once in one episode, and then randomly, for some reason, they had a habit of throwing in characters from the film in the background in random episodes. Why they never brought back the characters from the film is one thing that I always feel quite annoyed about, because I would love to have seen Tempest Shadow show up. It would have been great to have her character show up and see what she's been doing since the Storm King was defeated. And we only have her show up in like the final episode just as a background character who doesn't say anything or do anything. And it just felt like a really cheap shot to sort of connect the film to the series. They had so much potential, you know. They could have visited the pirates and on their ship. They could have gone back to Club Town, you know. They could have done so much with the film and its after events, but they never did. They barely connected the film to the series, and it's a real shame because there was a lot of potential for that, and they never seized upon the potential. But speaking of that, just to sort of ask. So knows that, yeah, it's unfortunate that they never brought the movie characters back. Tempest was a great character, Kappa such, yeah. Zero Bunny, I clock it up to laziness or just no idea what to do with them, which is sad because they did have potential. Yeah, it's one of the two, mate. It's very potentially that. It's annoying because, as you say, the characters from the film had so much potential, and they just sort of relegated them to background characters. You know, I mean, like Queen Nova shows up in at least one episode, but again, just in the background. Kappa shows up in one episode in the background. Tempest the same, just in the background. I mean, why they didn't have them, even if it was just for one episode, it would have been nice. But, you know, in a lot of ways, the film didn't really connect to the series. You know, they sort of they tried to connect it with the Equestria Girls special, where they had like remnants of the Storm King's magic affecting that world, but that was the only connection that they had. And because it was sort of an Equestria Girls special, it wasn't canon to the series. It's a shame. It really is a shame. So Zero Bunny, a question to you. Who is your favourite MLP character and why? And who is your least favourite MLP character and why? Take your time, no rush. It would have been. I mean, I am somewhat curious as well about the Gen 5 film and sort of what its connection will be to Gen 4, because I know that we all know there's a connection to Gen 4 in there. So I'm just sort of hoping that connection-wise it makes sense. I know there's a theory, there's lots of theories, really. We could talk about theories all night. But I am sort of hoping that the Gen 4 connection to the Gen 5 film makes sense. Also, Nosy, let's just throw that out to you. Do you have a least favourite character? I mean, I think, well, I'd probably say my least favourite character was and is Starlight. I mean, I didn't hate her as much by the end of the series, but I didn't like her when she first came into it. At least, sort of when she started becoming, you know, the redeemed pony and sort of started learning all about friendship. I just didn't like it because it felt like, you know, you're just Poppy and Twilight as we've discussed. That's sort of why I never really liked her character. Right, so let's have another look here. Have we got anything popping up? No, nothing new. So, Noldy, least favourite character. At first, it was Starlight, but I grew to like her, especially with her making friends with Trixie. Yes, that was a good episode, actually. I'll give it that, where they sort of had her become friends with Trixie. But I think in a lot of ways, that was purely to actually do something with Trixie's character, because if I'm right, I think that was sort of the first time Trixie appeared for like probably 4 seasons. I mean, if I'm right, doesn't she show up in season 1 and then again in season 2, and then after that you never see her again? But yeah, that is a good episode. It's definitely very fleshed out. It really fleshes out Starlight's character. It's probably the best episode that does flesh her out as a character, next to the episode where she's in charge of the school for a day and she ends up sort of having a fight with Discord. That's like I'll probably say the second good best character development for her. So Zero Bunny, Pinkie Pie, yeah, good surprise. Probably seems to be the most rounded and likable of the characters from beginning to end. Don't really have a least, but I guess Caden's just due to how pointless a character was. Yeah, I kind of get that. I mean, Pinkie Pie in a lot of ways is a rounded character because she's not really a character that has any sort of major development because she's a solid character. Her character isn't there to learn anything or develop in any way. So yeah, I kind of understand where you're coming from there. And Cadence, yeah, in a lot of ways, Cadence's character, I think, was sort of really only put there to add another Alicorn princess and to sort of create a sort of secondary story for another land. I know that gave us Sombra, and Sombra was a villain who I really like Sombra as a villain. I know he's massive. He's a massive villain in the comics, but he's barely a villain in the series. He basically only shows up twice, and he doesn't really do anything. In fact, he's more of a threat in the season 9 finale than he is in season 2. But yeah, I can understand with Cadence because she doesn't, as you say, she doesn't really do anything. You know, she's sort of. I can't actually think of any reason for Cadence's character when I think about it. You know. I mean, also, I never really thought about this, but when she's first introduced, which I do like that 2-part episode, because that's always where the changelings come into it. So that is a really good episode, 2-parter. But I know they sort of bring Cadence in as being Twilight's, you know, sort of babysitter when she was young. If you sort of think about it, why didn't Twilight know who she was? You know, when she first gets told that Shariyama's marrying Princess Miyamura Cadenza, it's like, how does she not know who that is? You know, she spent most of her childhood with this character. How does she not know who that is? To be honest, the princesses barely did anything. Yes, there's a couple of standout episodes, but that's it. Celestia is more like a big sister sort of character to Twilight. Helps her on her journey. Other than that, nothing. Cadence just happens to be engaged, married to her brother. Yeah, it's sort of yeah, that is very much the case with the three princess characters outside of Twilight. But then again, they are minor characters. I mean, they're not really there to do much. There is a lot of unanswered questions about their characters. Like, for example, I mean, it would have been nice to see the backstory of them. Because, you know, if they'd done a backstory episode for Celestia Luna, that would have been interesting. But, yeah, as characters, yeah, John, I agree. They don't do anything at all as characters. They're just sort of there most of the time. And also, as the sort of leader of Equestria, Celestia doesn't do a very good job. I mean, she has a habit of sending Twilight and her friends to deal with all the problems. You know, if you're like a 1,000-year-old Alicorn who could control the sun, why aren't you going and dealing with all these problems that Twilight and her friends are having to deal with? Yeah, Twilight's brother doesn't really do anything. But again, he's a minor character. He's not really there to do anything. I mean, his character is basically fleshed out and written in one episode. And that's the episode where they go to the Crystal Kingdom and fight Sombra. That is literally the episode where Shiny Armor and Cadence matter. After that, you barely see them. Yeah, it's sort of I mean, yeah, you get like, you know, minor characters in any series, but with sort of Cadence and Shiny Armor, their existence is very questionable. But here's something else that's worth mentioning, right? Once Shiny Armor married Cadence, that meant he was royalty, as he was married to Cadence, who was obviously a princess, an Alicorn. By default, that then meant Twilight was a member of the royal family, and that she had some royal status because her brother was married to Cadence and was technically the prince of the Crystal Kingdom. So it sort of interests me how Twilight becoming an Alicorn princess at the end of season 3, when technically she's already kind of a minor royal because her brother's married into the Alicorn royal family. You know, realistically, thinking of it that way, it's not going to work because that's not how the show operated. But, you know, as much as I love Friendship is Magic, Okay. Thank you. Yeah, please don't cut me off. Don't do anything like that. Where were we? As much as I love Finn, but I do believe they should have ended it at 5 seasons. Yeah, a lot of fans started watching 2010, stopped around season 5. Anyone that carried on watching with us that just wanted to watch, see what happened next year. Yeah, I do agree on that, Nosey. I really do agree 100% on that. Like, season 5 was my one of my favorite seasons. Like, the first 5 seasons are pretty solid. After season 5, they just had a habit of basically repeating stories and repeating lessons learned. But yeah, I do agree that season 5 was the last season, and as you say, Nosey, a lot of fans did stop watching after season 5 because they weren't that interested in anything else after that. Yeah, Zero Bunny would have been better. Yeah, I think the problem really with Friendship is Magic from an extended point of view was it's a series that, because it was doing so well, they kept on making series. And it got to the point where they were just repeating themselves because there wasn't anything new that they could do. I mean, if you sort of think of the series message, friendship is magic, you know, friendship is a good thing. by season 5, by the end of it, they'd addressed that. You know, they'd literally covered all the bases, so there was no stories left to tell. And as I've mentioned before, season 9 was really heavy on the fan service, just to sort of keep the fan base happy. Yeah, it's part of the downside, really. Yeah, definitely part of the problem. So Zero Bunny, let me ask, are you excited for the Gen 5 film, for the Gen 5 series? How are you sort of approaching it? I mean, from our perspective, I'm curious. I'm definitely looking forward to watching it. I'm hoping it might revive the fan base, even though the fan base is still alive. But at the same time, I'm optimistic. I'm thinking it's either going to be good or it's going to not be good. I think it just depends entirely on what Hasbro have planned. But I mean, I'll admit, I like the designs. I do like the Gen 5 design, especially Sunny. Sunny, I like her character. Nosy, if the G5 movie and series does well, I hope Netflix sort of has a plan, like many seasons there should be, and how things tie up properly. Yeah. And also, my question for Netflix, how come in the UK Netflix, we only have, I think, the first 6 seasons? We don't have up to 9, whereas in America they have all 9 seasons. I don't know what that's about. Yeah. It's sort of that annoying thing, isn't it? Zero Bunny, 100%. I love the new characters and their design. Stoked about the main character guy, the main guy character. Yeah, it is actually quite nice, I think, to actually see that they've added a male character into the main group of ponies this time. It definitely says that they are accepting the fact that there is a large male viewership for this franchise. So, yeah, I do agree. It is actually interesting to see there's going to be a male character. I know there's a theory that Hitch Trailblazer, there's a theory that he is Sully's brother, which, yeah, that could work. But yeah, as I said, I do like the designs myself. I do like the look of the new characters. So I am looking forward to it because I think it's just because I'm looking to see something different, just to see what the Gen 5 pony will be like. Because, in a sense, because I sort of, when I was sort of getting into G4, I wasn't too far out of school. I mean, I just sort of started my first job, and I in a sense, I was still sort of growing up. So yeah, you could almost say that I grew up sort of into adulthood with Gen 4. So it'll be interesting to see what Gen 5 brings to the table and how that will sort of impact the fan base and potential new fans. Nosy, we have up to season 5 on the UK Netflix. Oh, right, I thought we had up to season 6. And the Equestrian Girls specials, not the films, plus the Christmas special. Yeah, I don't know why the UK Netflix, only has so much of the pony stuff, because I'm fairly certain the US Netflix has all of it. I don't know why we only have the first 5 seasons, because we had the first 3 seasons for years, and then they announced they were going to add more, and they only added 2 seasons. Yeah, really odd. Yeah, Nosy loves Izzy's design for G5. As I say, I'm Sunny. I really like Sunny's design. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what they sound like and what the voice actors are like. Again, I know I talked about this apparent G5 cast leak a few days ago, but we don't know how legitimate that leak is. Izzy is precious. You're right, Zero. Of course, she's Zero Bunny. I mean, I think any character that's sort of all bubbly and energetic's always a character you like, because they're just fun to be around. On Amazon Prime, you can buy up to season 9 digitally. Oh, that's good. I did not know that. I mean, I have almost everything on DVD apart from I don't have season 7 and I don't have the Equestria Girl specials. But apart from that, I have almost all of it. I've got like 90% of it on DVD. Yeah, but it might be worth. I mean, I need to get season 7 really, and then I might end up having to get 8 and 9 digitally for the moment. Might be the only way around it, since for some reason there's no DVD release for them yet. Something to do with a contract problem, I believe. Let's have a look. Let's have a quick look here. A quick look on Amazon Prime. Yes, season 8 is available. So is season 9. Yeah, they're still available. Little bit pricey though. I mean, they're about 25 quid to buy digitally, but you can buy the DVDs for like a tenner. So I don't quite know why they're more expensive to buy them than digitally. Yeah, please stop reminding me. I will do updates later. Yeah, so you can get season up to season 9. So all 9 seasons are available on Amazon Prime to buy. Yeah, I might buy the last 2 seasons digitally, because as I say, once I've got season 7, I'll have all the DVDs. It's just a case of whether or not they're ever going to release the DVDs. I mean, personally, I would love to see an actual collector's set of all the DVDs and the film. And I do know that there was actually a fan, a brony, who actually did. It was a fan design, but he actually came up with a concept art for an actual box set of all 9 seasons and the film. Whether or not Hasbro would ever do anything like that is, it's debatable. It just depends whether or not how many of them they'd sell. Yeah, you may buy the rest up to 7 and get the last 2 on Amazon Nosy. Yeah, I'm thinking about that myself, to be fair, because like I said, I've got all 6 seasons on DVD. If I get 7, then that's all the physical DVDs, and then 8 and 9 digitally might be the best options. I don't think they're going to release them on DVD, because there seems to be a contract problem or something, isn't there? Like a distribution problem, was why they haven't released 8 or 9 yet. If you sort of think, no, it's been 2 years since it finished. So, they're probably not going to. They would have done it by now if they were planning to. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's. Yeah, it's. Yeah, it's mad. It's hard, but I imagine they will eventually maybe release them. I mean, just out of interest. It's just 2 seconds. Let's have a look at something. Yeah, I mean, looking at box sets for it, I just wonder if there's anything planned. There isn't. I mean, you can literally get box sets for all the books and things that have been written for it. That's about it. Shame, really, because an old DVD box set would be pretty good. Nosy, Shout Factory was the distributor, the DVD sets. It seems that Hasbro stopped their contract with them, or it just ended. Hasbro also stopped Shout Factory distribution, the Kamen Rider DVD series, and the Japanese Power Ranger sets. It's I don't know why that would happen. I mean, I know what you're saying. I know about that, but I don't know why on earth they did that. I mean, you had 2 seasons left to do, and for some weird reason, they're not going to be done, or at least not on DVD, just digitally. Just weird. I mean, I know it's a little bit off topic, but one thing I am a bit worried about is because of the way the cinema industry has been impacted in the last sort of 18 months. I get the strong impression that we may not see any DVD releases for a while. A lot of stuff might just end up going digitally, and we won't get it on DVD, which is sort of worrying me a bit. Or if it is going to be on DVD, it'll get released 6 months after the digital's released, the cinema's released. I don't know, but in regards to MLP, it is sort of a shame that we're not going to get the last 2 seasons on DVD. It is a real shame. Wow. 2 hours 20. Well, we'll keep going because we're having some good conversations here. But right, it's 10 to 11 now, so I'll keep the stream going for another 40 minutes. So we'll keep going through until about 11:30, because that'll take us to almost 3 hours. So, but that's sort of the maximum, really, anyway. Nosy, what we got here? I think there's a change going on behind the scenes with Hasbro. He parted ways with DX Media and partnered with Boulder Media. And now he won. Yeah, Entertainment One. Yeah, because Entertainment One are the ones that I think are they doing the animation for the film, the G5 film, or are they just distributing it? I think they're doing the animation out there, or is that Boulder Media that are doing it? Let's have a look. There's not a lot of info really that we can go on. Shame, real shame. Not sure G5 film series is produced through Netflix and is partnership with B1. I think in a lot of ways it sort of shows a lot as well of how I think certain companies are starting to realise that they need to sort of have, contracts with like Netflix and Amazon Prime and other online streaming platforms, because in a lot of ways it's probably the best way to sort of get a bigger audience. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still always going to be a cinema fan. That's assuming the cinema industry is still around in 6 months. But yeah, I'm always going to be a cinema fan. Can't wait to go back to the cinema. Really can't. But yeah, I just had a quick look. There's not a lot of G5 info, but any more additional info at the moment than what we know as. I'm sort of hoping we're going to have a teaser sometime in the next 2 to 3 months. Anywhere between late May, early June. That would sort of be about right on the time scale of things. So I've given it a watch. If we do get a trailer, it's likely to get released by Netflix. Yeah, it probably will be. Zero Bunny says, to be honest, I can't find the Powerpuff Girls original series on any streaming service. Yeah, interesting. Hmm. Yeah, no, yeah, we are in spring now, so it probably won't be long until a trailer comes out. Interesting, I didn't realise. Just have a look. Is it?
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently.
Quiet
so
advertisement.
You never have to slow down at work.
Don't have time, go away. Ooh. Well, if it helps, I don't know, is this the original series? Sure. The Powerpuff Girls is on YouTube, on the Cartoon Network channel. There is literally a Cartoon Network channel on YouTube, and it's on there. Oh, I don't know if it's the original. I think it looks like the original. Have a look at the link here. That link is YouTube. Looks like all the Powerpuff Girl episodes are on that channel, which is Cartoon Network channel. So it's worth a look. The Powerpuff Girls, another series from when Cartoon Network was good. I wonder. Might be this is probably going to be a long shot, but I'm just curious about something. Let's have a look. Netflix. Yeah, that's not going to give me anything. Shame. No, mad. Probably won't. No worries, Zero Bunny. Enjoy. Powerpuff Girls is awesome. Very awesome. Don't worry if your stream's behind. It happens on a live stream. It does happen. But yeah, I just had a quick look. I can't find any sort of information as to when Netflix might be releasing a trailer for G5. But I would guess anytime in the next 2 months-ish. No, so it's the new series, no. Well, right, on Amazon Prime, right. I'm kind of guessing the one I found on YouTube's the original. I haven't actually watched Powerpuff Girls in years, so I'm not too sure what the difference is between the new one and the old one. Apart from Powerpuff Girls Z is basically a Japanese anime. I know that. Right, just a heads up to you all. In about 30 minutes, I'm going to finish or end the stream in about 30 minutes. That'll take us to 11:30, and that'll be 3 hours on a stream. But I think 3 hours is about the maximum, I think. But yeah, we'll get another 30 minutes. Right, so in the world of My Little Pony, here's a question. Has anybody read any of the comics? I mean, I've read some of the comics, so I do know the comics actually do flesh out a lot of things. Like the comics flesh out Nightmare Moon's origins, Sombra's origins, I believe Chrysalis's origins as well. So I really do need to give them a read. But I'm curious if anybody else has read any of the comics. Just out of interest, Zero Bunny, in regards to overseas content, have you ever tried using a VPN? And if you get hold of a VPN, normally that's a good way to get access to things overseas. Yeah, gotta read them. Yeah, same here, Zero Bunny. See, I've only read a handful of the comics, and I do want to read them because, as I say, I'm well aware that they really flesh out certain characters and have a really good, solid character arcs and story arcs. So yeah, I do want to read the comics at some point. You can just buy the whole lot digitally these days on an ebook reader thing, which I might do. Wouldn't mind to read them. Yeah, MLP manga volume. Yeah, I've got one. I think there's only like 3 volumes to that at the moment. I have one of the mangas for MLP. I should look at the other 2. In answer, so I have my phone is shoddy with tried with Netflix and Disney Plus, but it's hit or miss. Yeah, can be. I know what you mean by that. I do. Yeah, the season 10 comic is something I would like to start as well, because one of the things about season 10 that they revealed, which I really want to know more about, they're actually going to finally give you the backstory for Zecora, and you're going to get to see where the zebra's homeland is and what they're like. And again, speaking of Zecora, that's another character that became very background. Like, she showed up a lot in sort of like the first 4 seasons, but after that she just sort of disappeared. You very rarely saw her after season 4. So another really interesting character that got sidelined. Almost a common trait in MLP. Interesting characters always sort of disappeared after a while. It's sort of interesting when you think about it, though, that season 10 is a thing. They originally were going to have 10 seasons, but then they just decided to turn it into a comic series. It really upsets me that they shoved this as a chorus of background. I really liked it. Yeah. It's sort of one of the problems with MLP as a whole. They had a habit of introducing really interesting characters and then backgrounding them. I just say Zecora was very heavily showed up a lot in sort of the first 4 seasons, and then after that, you sort of never saw her after that. She very rarely showed up, and it's a shame. And as I say, it's a weird thing. They would often, throw ponies into the background after they showed up. I mean, like Gabby Gums, she was a really interesting character. She only shows up twice. She shows up season 6, I think, for the first time, and then season 9 for the second time, and that's like it. She shows up twice. Yeah. Although I will say this, I think the strangest episode of MLP, I can't remember the name of it, but it's that really weird episode where like 5 of the main 6 have like that really, really big argument after going on a boat trip, and it turns out that they just starved a wild binyup. Is really weird Loch Ness monster thing called a binyup. That was a really weird episode. Can't quite remember what season that was, but I just remember thinking that was the strangest episode I've ever seen. But background characters, yeah, they had a habit of having good characters show up and then being backgrounded and never seeing them again. Sort of one of the problems. Alright, let's just close some tabs while we're here. That's better. Yeah, backgrounding characters, as they say, is sort of one of the things. It's sort of one of the things about MLP that's, I think, it's one of the interesting things is how there are a lot of background characters who often have like one episode where they really shine as a character. And just pre-ordered the omnibus for the manga and 2 volumes of season 10. Good for you, mate. Yeah, I do need to get 2 and 3 for them for the manga because I've got the first volume, so I do need to get the next 2 and 3 because I know there's only 3 volumes for it. Pretty short project, really. Yeah, it's one of those things, ain't it? Obviously makes you wonder what, here's a question. If the Brody fan base had never happened, right? Let's say it had never grown to this huge fan base. Let's say instead it was just like a small fan base, maybe a few hundred people, very much went unnoticed. Do you think Friendship is Magic would have lasted 9 seasons? Because I don't think it would have done. I think it would have lasted maybe 4, 5 at the most. But I don't think it would have lasted 9 seasons without the Brony fan base. That's what kept it alive. Yeah, Zakora was a good character. As I say, mate, it is annoying that she sort of got backgrounded and you just never see her after that. Zero Bunny, no way. So, just for context, no way. As in, do you think the series would have progressed without the fan base? I'm assuming that's what you mean. It wouldn't have progressed without the fan base because yeah, probably only 3 seasons and a few specials. Yeah, I do agree. In a lot of ways, it is the fan base that sort of that made MLP what it was. I mean, I have been told by a few people in the past that it was only meant to be 3 seasons and it was the fan base that kept it alive. It's, in a lot of ways, I think that's a lot to do with the modern age. Like, there was a time where something would only last if it had viewers, if the viewer ratings were good, they'd keep making it. But nowadays, it's not just viewer ratings that count. It's also, fan bases, YouTube reviews, merchandising. There's a lot of things in the modern day that are part of the reason why something will outlive itself. But yeah, I strongly agree that the Brony fan base is practically 99% responsible for keeping MLP Friendship is Magic alive for 9 seasons. Even though I think we could probably agree that a big chunk of the fan base sort of pulled away from it after season 5. Because if you ever watch footage from BronyCon, which sadly I never went to, there are some people who openly talk about it and do say they stopped after season 5. So, a shame. As for pony conventions, I've only been to one, and that was the UK PonyCon about 2 years ago. And I am planning 100% to go back to it as soon as everything starts again. I'm going to go back to PonyCon. I will go back. I've always been jealous of OG Bronies. Also, yes, always wanted to go to BronyCon. Maybe they'll bring it back for Gen 5. You never know, mate. They might do. I mean, as I say, me and Nosey, well, we've known each other for years. Yeah, John Nosey Vlogs, we've known each other a long time. I hope G5 helps struggling conventioners, those that have ended, maybe make a return. Yeah, that is good. But as I say, with BronyCon, I always wanted to go, never went, couldn't really afford to go. And I know it stopped. It actually sort of stopped because they were actually like losing people. Like at its height, I think it was like 100,000 people were going, and then by the end of it, it had dropped to something like 12,000 people. And I think in part that was because there were other pony conventions popping up, and people were going to ones that were easier to get to. And what's actually worth mentioning is over the last sort of 2 years, small groups of fans have gone to the convention centre where it was held just to reminisce. But yeah, it's sort of a shame that I never went. I would have loved to have gone, because in a lot of ways, BronyCon represents the fan base at its strongest. If you've ever watched any of the footage from the sort of the early BronyCon for like the first sort of 2 or 3 years, you can really see how strong the fan base was in the early days. Like, you know, everybody sort of knows each other. There's so many creatives there. There's people showing off music, people showing off artwork. The community strength was very clear in the early days of BronyCon. And I think it's sort of started to slip away in the last few years. But yeah, G5 should probably help bring comeback. I don't know if for BronyCon, but maybe. You never know. You never know. I love to go to an American MLP convention, BronyCon or BabsCon. Yeah, I'd love to go to an American convention in general, mate. You know, Everfree Northwest, yeah, that's another one. I'd love to go to San Diego Comic Con one year. You know, I really would. Love to go to it. Just, yeah, I've heard they're all good. I think the community spirit is still alive. I think it's definitely still a thing. We've still got the community spirit alive. It's still there. Yeah, just a heads up. 15 minutes. I'm going to be ending the stream in 15 minutes. But so far, it's been great. We've had some good chats, had some good conversations. It's been good. And this has been a long one. It's 3 hours. The last one was 2.5. But yeah, so far I've had a good conversation. Hell, if I could afford it, I'd fork out for one of them big Zoom accounts and have like 20 people on at once on video chat. That'd be good. But yeah, can't really afford that at the moment because I'm on fellow. Yeah, everybody can't wait for G5 to spark a revival in the fan base. Yeah, I think it will. I agree. I think it will. I mean, to be fair, it's already doing that. I mean, if you look at just the artwork alone that's popping up with the G5 characters, yeah, it will. Once the film's out, we'll definitely have I think there will be a huge resurgence. We might even see people coming back, people who left, and then, you know, they might come back because of Gen 5. So we might get to see some of the golden oldies from the early days of the Brony fan base who sort of started the whole thing. It'd be interesting if they came back. But yeah, I think it will be a revival because a lot of the times fan bases need that. They need something fresh to revive it, to revive interest. So yeah, I think we will end up with a revival of the fan base once the film's out. Really think we will. I mean, one thing I'm interested in, I am 100% dedicated, I'm going to go back to PonyCon next year, and I think it'll be quite interesting to see what these MLP conventions will be like next year, because by then we'll have the Gen 5 film will be out, the series will no doubt be starting, so I think it'll be interesting to see how that'll impact the community and the fan base and the conventions, because it'll bring fresh blood to it all, so it will be quite interesting. Fresh blood's usually a good thing in the fan base. Sort of gives you something new to focus on. And I've got to be honest as well, I'm really tempted to try and sort out a custom plushie, a Sunny plushie. Because since I really like her character, I wouldn't mind to try and get a custom one done. But maybe wait till when I'm actually back at work and no longer on furlough and I've actually got some money coming in. That'd help. But yeah, definitely think it'll revive the fan base. Don't mean to sort of go quiet here. I'm just basically waiting to see what people are saying. Yeah, it's always good to know what people are saying on your live chat. Got any headcanons regarding G5? Not, to be fair, not a lot. I mean, apart from the brief synopsis that's been revealed, about how Equestria's been sort of fractured and friendship and magic are no longer a thing. Not a lot. Although I'm sort of hoping that as headcanon, the main six makes some sort of appearance, whether or not that's through some sort of magic memory spell or archive spell. But I'm really hoping that they have a really solid connection to G4. Because since it's sort of showing in that one picture we've seen that the G4 characters are definitely involved somehow in some sort of past tense way, I am hoping that the primary canon does draw off G5. I'm sorry, G4, because I think G4 might have a very heavy influence on Sunny's sort of adventure and what she's trying to accomplish with her new friends. So yeah, I am sort of hoping that we do get to see the G4 characters be important to the role. And please, I beg the G5 creators, I beg you, Hasbro, if you are indeed going to have the G4 characters, the main six, play an important role in the events of G5, please, I beg you, please, do not forget Spike. Please let Spike be mentioned. Please, I am hoping Spike is mentioned in G5. I don't want the poor little dragon to be just thrown away and discarded. I want Spike to be mentioned. I want him to matter because he's deserved it and he's earned it. He deserves to matter. So I'm really hoping he gets some sort of involvement in the canon for the G5 connection to G4. Really hope he does. Oh, you never know. He might show up. I mean, he's a dragon. I mean, for all we know, then we might get to see an adult Spike show up. That would be pretty interesting. A grown-up Spike. Very interesting to see. Apparently, the Spectacular Spider-Man producer is producing G5 series, so I have major faith. Yes, we need more Spike love. Yeah, I have heard about that. The Spectacular Spider-Man producer. I heard about that earlier today, actually, through Dr. Wolf. Yeah, I heard about Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, I heard about that. But yeah, Spike does need more love. It really does. He's just sort of that character that, only shows up now and then. And I'm really hoping that he gets mentioned in G5. As I say, I'd love to see him in G5, just like as an adult, fully grown dragon, because we don't know how many years have passed. We do know that G5 is set in Equestria, the same Equestria as G4, but we don't know how many years have passed. Could be 10 years, could be 100 years. We don't know. We might know when the teaser comes out in like 2 or 3 months. Hashtag Spike Appreciation. 100% agree. I do agree. Yeah. I've got in this tube. So in here, I've got a little bit of artwork. So Knowlesy, my good friend who was on here, John Knowlesy Vlogs, he did me these artworks for my birthday a few years ago. So we've got Derpy, also known as Muffin, sir. I prefer calling her Derpy Hoops, because that'll always be a name. And then for Spike Appreciation, we also have Spike, who Knowlesy was also drew for me, which was also another birthday present. So yeah, we do have a bit of artwork in here, courtesy of our own John Knowles on this channel. So thank you to Knowlesy for that. Yeah. Try it, I'm in. Trying to put these back in. Oh, this is not easy. Let's just we try and that'll work. Wrap that round like that. Then we'll wrap them round like that. That'll do. And slide in. I will get them framed, mate. The problem is that the place I normally got stuff framed in, well, they're all shut at the moment. I haven't been able to get anything framed for over a year, as you probably know. So I will get everything framed. I will get them framed eventually when I can actually get things framed. I've got a bit more artwork that I've had done that I do actually want to get framed. But yeah, never that easy, is it? It's better. Right. Not much going on there. Oh, weird thought, but I wonder what will be the next cupcakes in this generation. Oh, no, hang on. Do not restart. Are you referring to the infamous cupcakes creepypasta pony fanfiction? I'm guessing that's what you're referring to? Or are you referring to character of Derpy? Just out of interest. Strange about Volume 1 of MLP Season 10. I have multiple emails from Amazon stating the date has been pushed back. No idea why. So you are talking about the infamous creepypasta. Yeah, I've read that, and no matter how many times I read that, it utterly creeps me out. Out of interest, Zero, but have you seen the fan animation for it? Somebody actually created a really good fan animation for that story, which is really creepy. It's a good question, though. What would there be like a cupcakes for that generation? Maybe there will be. I mean, maybe there will be, but wow, kind of good, kind of interesting. You brought that up because that is just you have seen the animation. Oh, good, isn't it? Oh, the animation just gives me shivers. It's so good. There's just something about that story, it's the original MLP creepypasta, and it's just so it's so cringy, it's so creepy. Is he the killer unicorn? Who knows, mate? It could happen. I mean, you say you've watched animation. Have you listened to the basically sort of like the audio book? Somebody's actually done an actual like an audio book for cupcakes. I think it's on YouTube. That is really creepy. Really well done. Oh man, cupcakes. I haven't read it in a while, but that is something that's talked about in hushed tones. It's just such a. I mean, I've read a few pony creepypastas. Some are really good, but Cupcakes is on another level. Cupcakes is really creepy. There is an audio book for Cupcakes. 1 second, let me see if I could find it because I can't remember if I've got it saved. Hang on. Yeah, that one knows his team. That's a good one. Yeah. 1 set 0 bunny. I'll see if I can find it for you because there is an actual proper like audio recording for it. I think I may have found it. Uh, 2 seconds. Let me check. There's another. Here you go. Here is the audio book for Cupcakes. Sending it to you now. Definitely worth listening to. But you need to listen to it with headphones on and the lights off. Because then you get the full experience. Yeah, that is a good series. I know what Nils is talking about. I've seen that a few times. That is a really good series. You're welcome, No problem. As I say, the cupcake is just infamous. But yeah, the audio reading, it gives you chills. It really gives you chills. Yeah, it's yeah. As I say, listen to it. Headphones, no lights on. I guarantee it'll utterly creep you out. It's a really good one. It's really well read, really well done. But yeah, cupcakes. Since we're basically talking about creepypastas, have you read the creepypasta called Rainbow Factory? That's quite a famous one. Rainbow Factory. I don't know if you've heard of that one. You've heard of it. Yeah, Rainbow Factory is another quite famous one. That's worth giving it. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, like the Song of Woken was based on. Yeah, basically what you're saying. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's Rainbow Factory is really good. It's definitely up there with cupcakes. Very well up there with cupcakes. Yeah, what? But yeah, it's it's just wow. There's a few other creepypastas I can think of off the top of my head, but I haven't actually read any of these. It's just ones I've heard of. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a really good creepypasta, which is basically just think My Little Pony, but crossed over with the Saw franchise. It's really good. I can't remember what it's called. But it's a really good one. Yeah, there has been some really good creepypastas for MLP. Yeah. Great Apple Massacre. Yeah, possibly. Hmm. Yeah, that animation is one of the best animations created. It's also perhaps one of the more surreal animations as well. It's sort of crazy because how the animation just makes absolutely no sense. You know, like I like the fact like Spike is basically a junkie. Just like I love it. He's just like a complete and utter junkie. Then you've got like yeah. Bloody hell, names were straight out of my head. Pinkie Pie. You've got Pinkie Pie, he was a complete and utter psychotic killer. And then you basically have the entire world being destroyed by giant robots and stuff. Damn, it's weird. Great animation, but really, really, really weird. Yeah. I like the fact they referenced it in the manga as well. That was quite funny. Speaking of like random stuff, has anybody seen? I know you've seen it, Nolze. The famous Smile song, often known as Smile Song HD. I don't know if Zero Bunny, if you've seen that. Smile Song HD. It's basically where they have the Smile song, but it's sort of Pinkie Pie going Dragon Ball Z on all the rest of the main six. It's a really weird video. Yeah, Smile HD. It's if you've not seen it, it's something you need to watch. It's absolutely brilliant. You have seen it, yeah. It is brilliant, isn't it? It's again sort of another example of just how you can get absolutely amazing, just amazing stuff that come out of the fan base. It's just incredible, absolutely. It's a shame that we don't have the ability to have more than one person on video, because it'd actually make this conversation a lot easier. But maybe we'll sort something out in the future. Close tab. I'm going to close those tabs. Yeah, Pinkie Pie did indeed go Super Saiyan in that. Right. Ironically, the first time I ever watched that, it was just because I was just basically wanting to listen to the Smile song. And then I just saw this thing that said, like Smile Song HD. I just thought, oh, it's just like a HD or something. When I watched it, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. I love it. But yeah, it just says like people in the Brony fan base themselves have got absolutely fantastic creativity, which is just really good. Right. Okay. 3 hours in. So, what else can we talk about? Be a sec. No, come on. Right, there we go. All right, people. Wow, we've just had some more people randomly appearing. Here we got Gareth Lewis, and Boy George fan. Well, hello to you both. Hope you're all all doing well. Wow. How is everybody doing? Oh, bloody hell. No worries, Nosy. No worries. Probably finishing up in about 5 minutes anyway. Yeah. Right, well, I'm going to end the stream. We've been at this for over 3 hours. The chat has been invaded by trolls and potentially bots or trolls. But that ain't an issue. Besides, I'm going to end the stream anyway because we've been at this for over 3 hours. So, I will be posting another live stream at some point in the next few weeks. Thank you to every single person who has commented. I can keep it going, but right. Well, I'll restart a stream later in the week, perhaps, but we've definitely been invaded. But yeah, it has been great chatting with you, Zero Bunny. I have enjoyed the conversation. Keep an eye out for any future live streams. And we'll be ending this because we've got a load of trolls. And I am in the mood for dealing with trolls. So see you all later. Bye.